Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. Now, I do a lot of trading. I get the opportunity to let people sample my whiskeys, and I get to sample their whiskeys. And tonight, I have a bottle. I got a chance to sample it prior to this review, and it is Randy's bottle. So I'm going to thank Randy for letting me do a review on something that left a bit of an impression upon me. And this bottle is a Strath Anniversary Special Amrut. This is an Oloroso cask strength, peated, of course. And interesting thing here is, if I look at the date on here, when it was bottled, I believe I actually even wrote it down. So if I look over here, I can actually see it here. So it was distilled and put into the cask in July 2015, and it was bottled in March 2023. And if you do the math, that makes it 7 years, 9 months old. So it's 3 months short of being 8 years. And I think Randy paid a couple $100 for this. That's what kind of shocks me. So when I do the math, when I look at Greedy Angels, an 8-year-old Greedy Angels, and what it's worth, $500, sometimes more than that, depending on where you're getting it from, and some of their other expressions, 8-year-old expressions. So if this meets up to expectations, I'm going to say $200 is one heck of a price to pay for an Indian whiskey that is 7 years and 9 months old. And why is that? Well, Indian whiskey, not quite like Scotch, it loses 12 to 15% to the angel share every year. Scotch, on the other hand, is 2-3%. Do the math. As it's losing angel share, it's also aging faster. And as a result, most of these whiskeys don't get past 5 years and they're being bottled. To get to 7 years, 9 months, we're considering that a pretty mature whiskey in India. And also, that distillery has lost a lot of whiskey out of that cask. Well, first, let's bring the bottle up and let you take a look at it. So there's the bottle, and I'm going to bring it up here so you get an idea how dark that whiskey is there. So you're looking at a single malt Oloroso cask. This is a single cask. I believe they got, I think Adam said 300 bottles out of the cask that they have to sell, but good color. Bring the glass up, you can take a peek at it. So it's got an oily texture to it there. Just looking at the legs running down the side of the glass there. And nice and dark. So we're going to let this sit for a while. I've got a short presentation. You can always scroll through it if you want to go right to the review. But I will see you after the presentation. At first glance, Amrut presents itself as an industrial site with a row of palm trees and a modest garden. This distillery is not about aesthetics, it's about functionality. The business was founded by J&R Jagdell in 1948, and it started distilling brandy, then later gin and a molasses-based Indian whiskey blend. By 1982, they were experimenting with malted barley, and in 1987, they built a facility that they occupy today in Kampipura, just outside Bangalore. In 2004, Amrut launched its first single malt in Glasgow, Scotland. In 2010, Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible named Amrut Fusion the third best whiskey in the world. Today, there are too many Amrut bottlings to list, but the oldest single malts are the Amrut Greedy Angels 8, 10, 12, and now a 15-year-old.
priced at 12,500 American dollars. With Bangalore's high heat, whiskey matures 3 times faster than in Scotland. Amrut loses 10 to 12% of its whiskey annually. Compare that to Scotch, which loses 2 to 3% per year. Amrut employs 450 workers, which the majority are women, doing the bottling. Most of the operation has avoided computers and do things manually by hand. All of Amrut's distillery equipment is manufactured in India. There are 2 small 2.2-ton stainless steel mash tuns designed for small batch consistency rather than volume. Amrut has a dozen 10,000-liter stainless steel washbacks. Fermentation takes a lengthy 140 hours to help create those fruity esters that characterize their whiskeys. The wash stills are pear-shaped and have a 6,500-liter capacity. The unusually larger spirit stills have added a bulbous reflux structure above the base and have an 800-liter capacity. The distilling cycle is longer than normal at 14 hours. Amrut uses 6-row barley grown at the foot of the Himalayas, which has less yield than Scottish 2-row barley. It contains more proteins and enzymes, which produce a different flavor body to the whiskey. Amrut has been operating for 75 years, but in the last 20 years has climbed from a little-known distillery to international fame, recognized globally as a top-quality single malt whiskey.
So my understanding, 25 ppm. Interesting thing about this whiskey here is we talk about Indian barley at 6-row barley versus, let's say, the 2-row barley that you'll see in Scotland, and also over here we have 2-row. They can grow 6-row here, but there's more yield with the fatter 2-row barley, and they're getting more sugar out of it, higher protein content in the 6-row, and certainly it's going to give it a different flavor body. My understanding, it's supposed to be a little more oily in its presentation, but we'll find that out. This is a mix. Because it's got peated, I believe it's 25 ppm. They import Scottish barley that is peated, and that's going to be 2-row. And they're mixing that with 75% Indian barley, which is from the foot of the Himalayas, which is 6-row. So there you are. The nose. Very rich, a lot of leather. Leather, and you really get the hit of the sherry more so than the peat. Yeah, we're getting some fruit, but more the dark stewed fruit. And now a little bit of the coffee notes mixed in with tobacco. Probably pipe tobacco, amphora, or maybe sail pipe tobacco. And it's clearing my nostrils. I'm struggling with the pollen. There's a lot of pollen in the air. This is spring, so my nostrils are clearing. Yeah, that's a good. It's better than an antihistamine. Yes, I'm impressed with the nose. Anyways, the palate. Solanjaba. So we're getting a wee bit of the peat, and I think my problem is I've been into quite a few reviews lately with some heavy peated whiskeys, so I might have built a bit of tolerance for peat, and I'm not finding it a heavy peated whiskey. It's very light, but in fact I'm going to say that the sherry's dominating here. At the same time, I'm not getting the heavy burn or the fire that some reviewers had mentioned about this whiskey. I'm finding it very well rounded, kind of earthy. The peat might be a little bit more of an earthy taste. There's some minerality to it. Oily, coating my mouth, even a bit down my throat. The Oloroso is defined as spicy, dark chocolate, with a wee bit of citrus, but more the dark fruits, and getting probably a little bit of coffee, bitter coffee, you know, but typical of a heavier influence of sherry, Oloroso sherry. The funny thing is, at 60%, I can't tell. It doesn't come on at 60%. So this is a very, very well balanced, very well rounded whiskey. But I'm going to go right into the development and the finish. Solanjeva. Oily. Spice. A little bit of habanero. Maybe even some jalapeno. I'm getting a mix of that jalapeno with chocolate. I've actually had it. I've had dark chocolate with jalapeno. Lint. I think it was a Lint. I just got a hit of it. So, and with a little bit of the orange peel in the background. As far as finish, it's still going. So this is a long finish. It's coating my mouth. And this could be a sipper. I can tell you right now, this could definitely be a sipper that you just take your time and just, because there's a lot of stuff going on on my palate right now. So I'm getting a little bit of bitterness, but I'm going to emphasize that could be more the oak. It's not heavy. It's not heavy astringency. It's just that little bit of woodiness about it. And you mix that in with the Oloroso, and it just seems to balance it out a bit. And the spices too. So it sort of comes and goes. It hides in behind the spice. So it's not a bad thing. I've had woody stuff that it just isn't good, but this isn't a bad thing. I am going to add a few drops of water. I'm kind of curious where this is going to go. I don't know if you counted the drops, but there was 3 drops of water. We can always add more, but I wanted to kind of be cautious with the water because I liked where this was going. And I thought, let's start off with 3 drops and just see where it goes, because I don't want to lose too much. Okay? That's what happens with water. You do change things, and sometimes you lose some things you wanted to hang on to, even though you might be getting some new things. I'm going to not take the risk. I'm going to just stay with a few drops and let's see what happens here. So we'll try the nose first and find out what it does for the nose. Oh, boy, very rich, and the leather is still there. Something buttery, sweet and buttery, some kind of pastry. And of course, we've got the pipe tobacco still in the background. Stewed prunes mixed in with the chocolate again. The spices. Probably some peppery stuff going on here, the nutmeg. Okay, with water, the palate. Solanjeva. I don't know if you sort of gathered the direction this is going. The word delicious. This is a rich dessert. Not overly sweet, just so well balanced, so well rounded. It still has some earthy textures to it though. So sometimes you throw water at it, you lose all that. And we talked about that minerality in that. Where am I going to put this? Well, I don't normally put an 8-year-old whiskey or 7 years, 9 months into the high 80 categories, but I don't think I'd be fair to this whiskey not giving it, 87, 88 points. I mean, I could compare this with maybe an Irishman, 17-year-old, and I would like to. I'd like to put the two together. Or I've got an Oloroso Paul John back here that does quite well, but it's only about 48-50% as compared to the 60s, so I don't think that would be a fair comparison. But overall, this is probably going to be running the 87, 88 number, I would say. Just a real quality, really well rounded, very well balanced whiskey. It has a little bit of something extra, I think, to give you for the price. And I am basing it on that price. At $400, I probably wouldn't. But for what the Strath sold it for, good God, yeah. I would definitely say it's well worth the money. And certainly it does deserve an 88 score. So on that note, I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive. Until the next time, so long, Jabba.